Hi everyone. Today markets got a little bit of a shot in the arm from CPI, ended up able to hold these levels, but let's take a look at it on the rest of the charts and see where we could be going. Do me a quick favor and like and subscribe and watch the video till the end to help out the channel, and let's get started. Starting off with the CPI report, inflation rose by 2.6%, snapping that cooling streak. You can see it here. Core did come down just a smidgen, 3.3, but the headline number stepping up to 2.6. Not everything we wanted, but it was okay. It was the expectation. You can see 2.4 versus the 2.6. And with that new inflation data, the December cut is still in the cards. We'll take a look at the Fed futures later after today's numbers, but overall, met expectations, core number basically flat, headline not so great. Moving over to fear and greed, really no change today. 68 yesterday, 68 today. Still extreme greed on momentum. Strength still hovering, moving slightly lower. Breadth moving slightly lower. Put call ratio still very, very extended to the downside. You can see volatility selling off some more after today's data, and bonds still signaling extreme greed. So kind of mixed markets, but still I would say this is pretty extended to the upside. Moving over to the Fed futures, you can see still very high percentage that we are going to get that cut, and it did jump pretty substantially from 60 to 85%. So still looking at that cut, and then in January we're probably going to get that pause. So the one cut December, and then pause, and then once we start getting out to March, that's when we're starting to see maybe another cut. So at least for a couple of months, January, potentially out to March, we'll see rates kind of hover in that 4.25 area, but for now, still expecting one cut in December. Moving over to the economic calendar, you can see that data here, all in line with expectations. Federal budget, absolutely terrible, way worse than expectations there. And then for Thursday, we do get PPI, core and headline, initial jobless claims, not a whole lot. A couple of Fed speakers, Fed Powell speaking at 1500, that could be interesting. I don't think he's going to say anything crazy. I feel like we have most of the information, at least for now, but maybe. And then we do get core and headline retail sales for the Friday session. Moving over to Max Pain, you can see really didn't move very much today. Max Pain 580, stock price didn't move, down just slightly. And then looking at the day-to-day, still very much bearish going into the Friday session. The last time we had a bearish level like this 581 here for the Friday, markets did move in that direction pretty substantially, so flat for the next 2 days, and then that Friday session definitely concerning. Moving over to the SPY here on the charts, you can see we did go basically flat, up 29 cents, inside candle. Momentum did get that step to bearish like we thought that it would. RSI pulled back slightly, still very close to overbought, really no change to the thesis, still looking for a little bit of a pullback into this trend here. If we did get the rally up, that trend line resistance is up at 602, so really the same thesis as yesterday. Still expecting some pullbacks, but in this sideways consolidation, still very much an uptrend in the medium term, just extended in the short term. Something like this where you get some pullbacks, hit some trends, rally back up is the expectation, at least for now. And then looking at that hourly chart, you can see we did dip down, did not eclipse yesterday's low, rallied back up, could not get above the trend line at 599.64. 600 level, obviously big psychological level, but the interesting thing here is that last candle of the day. You can see tons of volume on that candle, and it was a slightly positive candle, so interesting. Right now, still sideways consolidation, no changes here. Looking for a push up if we can get it, otherwise trend support in here, 589.50. Then moving over to the Tasty charts, you can see that ATR trailing stop did end up holding at 595.10. Waiting to see if that continues to hold, if we kind of get a push here or not. ATR bands are starting to squeeze, so definitely sideways consolidation, sideways choppy. Big volume on that last candle, which again was a bullish candle, so we'll see if that ends up getting any follow through there, but really no changes here. Moving over to the NASDAQ, we'll kind of get through these a little bit quicker because the changes on these charts are just not super substantial here today. You can see we rallied up, hit the level, 514.92, rejected from there. Didn't break yesterday's low, didn't break that consolidation high, really no changes here on the hourly. Same thesis here on the daily chart as well. Gap down, doji, still looking for support in this trend line area around 508. 9 EMA is sitting all the way down at 504.21, momentum stepping down just like we thought it would. So still leaning towards the bearish side, it's still a little bit more consolidation into this trend line here. No change from the thesis yesterday. And looking at the Tasty charts, same here as well. 496.07 is that ATR trailing stop. tested that level multiple times, did not close below it, so we're still technically in that bullish condition. Still sitting right on top of that 8 EMA. You can see that level there at 512.33, so just barely below it, and then you got the 21 sitting there at 511.77, so you're stuck between those two levels. Again, sideways consolidation makes sense. Support is still going to be that 34 EMA at 509.61. Moving over to the Russell and the Dow, I have the Russell here on the hourly chart. You can see big move up on the CPI data, hit the consolidation low from the after hours and pre-market on the Monday into the Tuesday, and then we hit that level and then immediately sold off. Very dramatic, broke the levels here. Found support at 235.04, but realistically, I would expect that to fall at this point. Kind of looks like a messed up left shoulder head, right shoulder here. Trend support still sitting in that 232.69 area. 144 EMA in there as well. 232.17, and then I have a level 232.09. So this is the zone I'm watching. I expect this to break and push into that level there. So overall, still bearish on the Russell, and we did get that follow through here on the daily chart. You can see it there. Probably going to fill some of these gaps. Still very much looking for that trend line. Momentum stepping to bearish. RSI looking to touch that SMA. Same thing as we talked about yesterday. Dow ended up holding up just a little bit. Still momentum stepping down. RSI flattening out. We'll see if it holds in this consolidation or not after that big bear candle on Tuesday. And then you can see trend resistance is not much higher, still in that 444.22 area. Moving over to the Mag 7, same as everything else, basically flat, slow grinding price action, big wicks in both directions. Low was around 296.80, high back in the same 305 area. Momentum stepping down, RSI still holding basically flat, looking to retest that SMA there. So see how it plays out, still holding up pretty good considering how fast and how far we moved right after the election. Moving over to Apple and Microsoft, both of these finding a little bit of bullishness on the day, 0.4 and 0.5% respectively. Really no change to the thesis, still in the same trading range. Did get back above 224.36 level, but wouldn't put a whole lot of stock in that. Still below the 21 VWAP 55. Did get above the 9. Momentum swinging to bullish a little bit. RSI right there at the point where you would expect rejection and trending down. So not expecting a clean move. You could argue maybe low, higher low here if we can kind of get a continuation. Still looking at that 21 as resistance though at 228.87. And then looking at Microsoft, we did get a slight continuation after yesterday's candle. Still could not close above this high from the Thursday, Friday sessions. Still looking at 429.88 as resistance. Still very much a consolidation. No clear direction yet. Momentum slightly bullish, RSI is slightly bullish, but unless this breaks and holds that 429.88 level, I wouldn't expect too much movement really in either direction. Moving over to Tesla and NVDA, Tesla stayed in the same trading range, ended up bouncing between that 324.47 up to 336.21, rejected off the trend line, stayed in the same trading range, momentum still stepping down, still very overbought. Again, still a strong chart. Still expecting buyers to come in eventually. I think we'll see a little bit more falling before that happens, especially with the huge volume that we're seeing here at these kind of peak levels. So see how it plays out right now. Still sideways choppy. And then looking at NVIDIA, same thesis really here. We got here on Thursday and still here on Wednesday the next week. So still in the same trading range, no changes. Let's go ahead and add a level right there at the high of the Tuesday candle. That's 149.65. We've been in this same range here for a little bit now. I guess technically we got into this range Wednesday, so we've been here for a full week. Very little change between that time. Momentum stepping down, RSI still weakening, but medium term still very much a bull trend. Moving over to Amazon and Google, these flip directions here today. Amazon breaking out above that Thursday high, closing at a new all-time high, new wick highs. Everything's price discovery here today. Momentum bullish, RSI bullish, so big breakout there. Meanwhile, Google, which was the outperformer yesterday, ended up flipping bearish, down 1.5% or so. Momentum stepping to bearish, RSI right there at the SMA. It is technically below it. If it's going to hold, it needs to do it. Support is still the level here. Let's go ahead and move that down a little bit. 179.42 is the level, waiting to see if that ends up holding. Otherwise, Amazon looks much better out of the two with the clean breakout and the price discovery. Moving over to staples and discretionaries, you got staples here again outperforming over the last 2 days. It was only up 0.3% versus 0.85 for discretionaries, but it was also positive yesterday, whereas discretionaries were not. So momentum stepping to bullish here on staples. Trend support here for discretionaries, 217.28. Again, momentum, that swing is still looking like it's going to go a little bit lower. Still in this consolidation top, in my opinion, waiting to fill some of these gaps to the downside. Again, just looks very extended, but at key support. Moving over to oil and gas and transports, oil and gas actually managed to stay positive on the day, 0.42, big wick lows. The low of day was all the way down at 139.02. Took out my levels, momentum stepping to bearish, but ended up positive on the day. We'll see if this level continues to hold. 140.88 is the level. Inside candle after the down candle yesterday. RSI still looks okay, so maybe this has a little bit more in it. And then looking at transports, positive there as well. 0.42 on the day, still in the same consolidated range. Momentum fading, RSI still bullish. Moving over to wood and oil futures. I don't talk about these all the time, but I did want to highlight this here today because we got wood cratering pretty dramatically over the last 4 trading days. Down 0.9 today, down 1.7 the day prior, 0.3, and then 2.3% in a straight line to the downside, breaking back down into this kind of downtrending price action. We thought we had the breakout here, retest, failed on the continuation. Now we're breaking back down. And I use this as kind of an indicator of economic activity. Left shoulder head, right shoulder looking like this is going to sell some more here. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish. So looks like we're getting a little bit of a risk off environment. And that fits pretty well with oil as well. It's been flat for 3 days, still at a pretty depressed level in this 68.28 level. Not going lower than these lows, but still in the same consolidation, which is still pretty depressed from where we have been, up in the 80s, got as high as the 93 area back here in October of 23. So we'll see if this ends up being a slight bottom. If we start to make some gains here on oil, maybe we get a little bit more economic activity, but right now commodities are saying not so much. Moving over to breadth, really no change to the thesis here either, continuing to step down slowly. Momentum stepping to bearish for the first time there on 20-day, but 50-day actually flipped back to bullish. Stepped down yesterday, back to bullish here today, so we'll end up seeing if this holds or not. RSI says it still could go higher. Really, we were just looking for a short-term pullback, which still fits with the thesis, but interesting to see that step down on the 20, but not so much on the 50. Moving over to the dollar, big surprise here. The dollar made another big gain, up 0.5%, continues to rocket ship higher towards that 106.8 level, towards the trend potentially at 107.3. Momentum bullish, RSI obviously super overbought on both of these, but continues to look bullish in the price action. It's up more as we roll into that Thursday session. You can see it here. So continues to be super bullish across the board, and equities have actually held in really well considering how strong this dollar has continued to look. Moving over to the VIX, you can see this continues to sell here. Momentum bearish, RSI bearish, broke this level finally. Headed back into this 12 to 13 range. We'll see how that plays. But based on this, we should expect equities to kind of hold up, maybe find a little bit of gains here. This continues to downtrend aggressively. Right now, your next support is all the way down at 12.75. Moving over to my accounts, I managed to make a few dollars on the day, which is good. The Qs were down, the Russell was down, but I made money, so you like to see it. Ended up taking off that call pretty much at the lows of the markets. Got really lucky on the XOP, decided to hold the shares. The shares rallied back and then put the call back on to try to capture a little bit more credit. So that ended up working out well. The Russell, I didn't maximize profit there, but I did make a little bit on that option before I took it off as markets continued to break down. And then Q still hovering, basically unchanged, still same position, 505 for the Friday session. Still plenty of protection if they do start to break down, but we're getting into that range where I can start to roll out and up if I need to, if we start to see markets break higher. But really no change to the position, still watching XOP, still watching the Qs. Let me know down in the comment section what you thought of markets today or the CPI data. Are we going to get those cuts? How are those going to affect markets? Otherwise, like and subscribe if you got any value out of today's video. Make sure you hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Of course, none of this is financial advice. This is all for entertainment purposes. Good luck in your trading and have a great day.